We have to fail so we do learn from those mistakes and we move forward. Well, I suppose we've all been part of teams at some point in our lives. Maybe it was on the field, in an office, even with our families. We've all seen, I think, the difference between average teams and ones that really operate at the highest level. I think what makes the difference is ultimately around getting the right people on the bus. It sounds really simple, it's easy to say, but actually really hard to get right. And for me, it's having the right people within your organization and the link to the values and the behaviors expected of them. And I will share a short story, because back in 2010, I mentioned this coach before, Brendan Venter. They had a huge clear out of players because they were middle of the table. They kept offering lots of money to players who were deemed superstars, but actually they weren't producing what they perhaps should be. And Brendan looked at this, and he came in and spent hours and hours watching players individually. He watched how they trained, he watched how they prepared, how they interacted with others. He had a clear image of the type of behaviors that he desired of everybody. And basically those that fitted his way stayed, and those that didn't left. And I think many businesses have values written all over the walls of their office, but I guess the question is how many can really truly say they live by them each day. I really believe that Saracens did, and that, as I say, was probably one of the reasons why they become one of the most successful teams in Europe. Have you ever wondered why two people, given the same resources, opportunities, challenges, end up in completely different places? One thrives and one struggles, and I think the difference there is around mindset. I know that I was involved with young players when I first started off my career. We were both offered the same opportunity. We both did the same training, but yet there was something slightly different in our approaches. And I became very focused on what I wanted to achieve. And I think the distraction for other people became too much, which is kind of why their careers kind of disappeared and went into an abyss, really. But for me, it's around mindset and the ability to bounce back from really, really difficult situations. And I've experienced a huge number of those setbacks in my career. Most notably, probably very early on, when my kicking performance wasn't great, and I got absolutely hammered by the media for a long period of time, hounded by opposition players for a long period of time. But the ability to bounce back, whilst it took me a long time to really understand how to do that, was probably one of the reasons why I managed to last 16 years in a professional rugby career. I think the first thing is it's actually just accepting that it's okay to fail. We all make mistakes. Sometimes people can come down hard on others that do make mistakes, but actually the only way that we grow, according to Carol Dweck and her growth mindset, is that we need to fail. It's a prerequisite for life in general. We have to fail so we do learn from those mistakes and we move forward. Second thing is, don't make excuses. Quite often we can blame others, we can blame situations, we can blame environments, we can blame external factors, which of course do have that play, but for me there's an element of taking hold of it from a personal point of view, personal perspective, and understanding, well, what can I do differently next time? Thirdly, I would say seeking support and asking for help. I'm guilty of anybody for this, is I will try and fix problems by myself without seeking support and seeking help. So that's a key thing for me. And then the final thing is around perspective. It's a huge question that I've always asked myself from a young age as a player: is, will it matter next week? Will it matter in a month? Or will it matter in a year? And chances are, when you start to gain some perspective on those things that have happened, you'll realize that it's not that bad. I think my biggest hope is that listeners take action based on what they've heard, whether that means a shift in mindset, a change in behavior, even a new perspective. I think I'd like my message to resonate in a way that leads to, I guess, real world impact. If I get the question afterwards that says that was great, but so what, then I don't really think I've done my job. So for me, it's about making sure that people walk away with some tangible, practical things to move forward.